Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have 2 new episodes for Pretty Little Liars.
Of 4 2. Good God, we've got some big stuff happening this week. I'm usually all for giving us a little intro, and I'll just say one thing before we just jump into the description so we can then talk about the episodes. I think this is probably the biggest reveal that we've had in the entire show.
And it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for a reveal. You know, I mean, it's not like the thing that happened was not good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
The idea that this, I hope to God this had been planned from the beginning.
I really don't think so.
Well, and it's really interesting because in the books, Ezra goes to jail and very early, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And it's yeah.
So, God,
I don't know that for sure, though. I haven't read them. So if someone knows and they tell me I'm wrong, that's fine.
I know this is only... So this still leaves this quote, it leaves some room for interpretation. But as far as I saw online that people were talking about, that is, they only started thinking of Fitz as A in season 3. Now, of course, that still leaves that they could have had this whole plan from the beginning that he was this writer, but then they're like, oh, we could use him there. But
I think it's
so
just
it leaves room for interpretation.
Too convenient that he didn't know her at the beginning for it to not have been. When you first guessed this, when we first started talking about this, and you were like, he met her, that's so suspicious. And I'm like, damn, he's gonna piece this together before the writers did. I mean, I don't know when they planned it, but
right. Was that are you saying at the beginning of the podcast?
At the very beginning of the show. The very first time we're watching it, you were putting together this whole Ezra's A and he knew Allie and that he must have dated her. And I'm like, damn, he's got the whole plot of season 4. Unfortunately, he's going to have to wait a long time to feel. And by the time you get to it, you kind of forget.
Totally. It completely dropped out of anything that I had even thought of.
Yeah, when you kept bringing up Ezra's A, I was like, okay, hold on. I kept trying to get you to hold on to it. And you kept being like, there's no way.
Yeah, now we're done. Which, at least leading up into season 2, made sense. But after that, cards were back on the table. Yeah, we'll talk about the actual reveal itself too, but I think the
cinematic masterpiece, you mean?
Right. But I think, it's the most impactful. It's the one, even in comparison to the Mona one. This one has the benefit of time since the beginning of the episode, where it's oh, how many clues were there that were potentially in the background and stuff like that. So and
it's interesting because there were some theories that Aria was A. That's always been one that flew around. Which the A in her name, I think, is what led to a lot of that. But also
she has 2 A's.
I know. But also then people would be nothing ever really happened to Aria was the other big the things that happened to her were related to her dad and her family
until she ended up in a box.
Until she ended up in a box with a dead Garrett, right? Which if Ezra's A and he was there at the end of the train, that's when I put that together. Was that episode when Ezra shows up right at the end and he was oh, I was going to surprise you and meet you there. You're were you on the train the whole time?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's when I was oh, Ezra's sus.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the first time I watched it. But then with this, then people kind of had to be okay, well, maybe Aria's not A because she would have probably known that Ezra about this.
Yeah. Would have actually figured that out.
Yeah, or this is so much worse than what happens to almost everyone else. She ended up in a box with the dead Garrett, and then the guy she was sleeping with and dating, who was also her teacher, had known her friend. That.
Yeah.
That's
and then is also using...
That's a complete rug pull, and was using her and extorting their stories and all of her friend stories and all the secrets she told him for a fucking book. Villain behavior.
Absolutely, 100%.
If Aria became A because of this, now that's a choice I could see.
Absolutely. 100% in the right. Well, all right, let's get through this recap and then we'll have plenty more to say. So episode 91, season 4, episode 20, Free Fall. We get some cool production stuff on this episode too. Kind of falls out by the next episode, but the opening scene is a close up on Spencer's face as she wakes up. It's like POV too of like looking at the desk, and then kind of close up on her. She's like figures out that she had sleptwalked into Fitz's classroom, and she has Allie's diary open. And Fitz walks in and is like, are you okay? Like, how long have you been here? She tries to get up to leave. He tries to stop and talk to her, but she insists she's fine. He's like, I think it's time we address the issue, and the path you've been going down is dangerous. School bell rings, and Spencer makes a break for it. Close up on the bathroom tile, and Spencer steps in into her sandals. The friends then walk in and ask why she's wearing her like clothes from her PE locker. Emily asks, Emily asks like if she had an accident. Spencer locks the bathroom door. I mean, that's a good friend. Spencer locks the bathroom door saying they had an emergency situation. Emily got a call from Spencer at 4 a.m., to which Spencer looks surprised at her. She insists on telling Aria about Fitz now, but Hanna and Emily think they should wait until after class. Spencer worries that she's seeing him right now. Emily says it's not going to be easy. She's in love with him. It's going to be hard to convince her that he's even capable of this. Fitz stops Aria in the hall and asks about Spencer. And tells her about Spencer's like dark slide into drug abuse. Aria says she just has a lot to juggle. It's fine. He's like, it's more than that. She has problems with amphetamines, and Aria's shocked and doesn't believe him. He's like, your friend is a ticking time bomb, and like I know she's on drugs. He pulls out her file and gives it to Aria and says like he'll break the rules to help Spencer on this one. Toby waits on his motorcycle for Spencer to get out. He then runs over to her as she steps out and wants to take her on a ride, but she's like, no, I have to study. He says, I brought food, and she stays silent. He's like, well, like, are you still upset with me for taking the money? And she's like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. He says, my mom would want me to, like, forget about all this and live a happy life. TBD. Hanna and Spencer have lunch and they're nervous about telling Aria. Aria sits down at the table suddenly, wondering...
I went to adjust my chair and
now
I
you're
failed.
way down. It's a little video humor for the audio podcast. Aria sits down at their table, wondering why nobody's returning her texts, and asks about Spencer. She tells them about that Spencer's strung out on a drug addiction, and that 2 years ago her parents had to ask the school for help, and shows them her file. Spencer and Toby have a quiet lunch. He asks why she's not eating. She's like, I'm just tired. He invites her over that night, but she's like, I can't, and he pushes for the next day. The bell rings, and they hug goodbye, and then Toby creepily sniffs her hair and says, I've almost forgotten your smell.
It's like, this episode was full of weird one-liners.
It was super weird. It was just like, what are you doing?
You don't smell me?
Okay, this is the only part I remember of Charlie's Angels. I can't remember if it's the first one or the second one, but there's like, guy from Back to the Future. Crap, I can forget his name. But he's like the bad guy, and he's like obsessed with Drew Barrymore and like sniffs her hair and like takes like locks of her hair. But like they're like he's like not bad, and so she's like kind of like the romantic interest. It's weird. The friends all so hence why I think this scene's weird. The friends all meet up at Spencer's after school. The other three are silent while Spencer asks if they told her, and Aria's like, what? And the others say, we're actually worried about you, Spencer. And Hannah's like, are you a speed freak? Spencer gets defensive, and Aria says it's an intervention. Hanna says, we know it's been a problem before. And Spencer's like, what? And Aria hands her the file. She's like, she got it. She says she got it from Fitz. And Spencer gets mad and says, you two didn't tell her. And then tells Aria all the details on Fitz. She says, Emily says, stick to the subject, Spencer. Spencer's like, he's being A right now. And Hanna doesn't back her up either. Spencer fesses up on sleepwalking and taking pills. Aria says, I know you feel backed into a corner. And Spencer turns on her and starts yelling at her about Fitz. Spencer accidentally knocks her purse over, and then Ren's prescription pad that we saw at the end of last episode comes spilling out. And she's like, I've never seen that before, but the friends don't believe her. Mona and Mike are out on a date. Mike is absolutely enamored and hopes Mona will say she loves him, but Mona doesn't say anything. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, it was too soon. She sees Fitz walk in and gets silent. She then goes to talk to him and asks why he's here, and he's like, well, like, I'm like getting dinner, and she's like, I can't help you anymore. It's gotten too complicated. He's like, it's always been complicated, and it's too late to back out, especially when I need your help. Emily and Hanna are at Hannah's house and wondering about Aria and Spencer, and Hanna says Aria also has an addiction for Fitz. Emily doesn't believe Fitz is still A. Spencer comes and drops the remaining Adderall on the counter and says she doesn't need them anymore. She's like, Fitz is definitely A, and asks for a chance to prove it to them. Says the diary has been changed to cover where Allie and Fitz used to meet. Spencer says Amber's pavilion was changed to a man's name and is actually a pavilion at the local zoo. She wants to trap Fitz there. The next day, Spencer walks downstairs and talks to her mom as she goes to take aspirin. Veronica asks if she's going to join her at the club this evening. Spencer's like, oh, I gotta go meet Toby. Veronica leaves, and Spencer gets a text from Emily asking if they're still doing the plan. She leaves a voicemail for Toby saying she has to go to dinner with her mom at the club. Aria tells Fitz about the intervention, and she says Spencer attacked everyone and even went as far as to, but then cuts herself off, and Fitz like, what did you do? And Aria's like, she's just out of control. He suggests telling her parents, and it's like, it's a big deal if a teacher gets involved, like, you should tell them, like, instead of me. Aria says Spencer will get herself out of this. Fitz is like, remember Radley? Like, all she saw was a tattoo and helmet, and that was enough to send her into a tailspin. Aria's like, you're right. Wait, how did you know about the tattoo? That wasn't included in any of the reports or anything. And Fitz is like, oh, you must have told me. And Aria's like, oh, I must have. Spencer works at the brew while Fitz works at a table. Emily works at the brew. Emily...
They don't pay teachers.
No.
That's why he's got a part-time job being a creep.
Right, exactly. I put Spencer worked at the brew. Emily drops her bus tub, breaking plates. She picks up a call from the friends and says it's a bad time. And then as Fitz watches her, we see Spencer and Hanna watching from across the way, feeding her lines as Hanna watches with binoculars. Spencer picks up her bag at home, looking awful. She calls the doctor, pretending to be her mom, to refill her prescription, but gets the voicemail. She picks up a call from Andrew. Aria goes to the cabin alone and sees a new security system. She tries a couple passwords, but gets them all incorrect until she tries B26, and it works, which is the song and the poem he wrote about her.
B26. It was the worst poem I've ever read, I think.
I remember it not being great. Veronica gets ready to leave the house and gets a call back from the doctor. She's like, we haven't, like, seen him in years. Like, no, why would we, like, we don't have anything, like, any outstanding prescriptions there. And it's like, and the reception says they've received multiple calls. Hanna and Emily arrive at the Norristown Zoo. Hanna doesn't want to go near the reptiles, which is the Ambrose Pavilion, but Emily makes her. Aria looks around the cabin, and then she eventually finds the latch in the floor and opens up the hatch and goes downstairs, but oh, guess what? It's all cleaned out. Hanna and Emily walk around Ambrose Pavilion, and they wonder where Spencer is, since she should have been there by now. Aria exits the hatch and sees a cookbook for Carnivore's Delight, a grilling cookbook. And inside, she finds a bunch of printed pages marked up. As she reads it, we hear Fitz's narration. It's saying, Allison would always lie. She could even do it when she was kissing me.
My favorite thing about the Carnivore's Delight thing, though, is that like they literally took a cookbook and cut the little square out to like use it to hide in. Like,
let me try. Yeah, I tried doing that one time, and I'm like, this didn't work.
You tried doing that? You tried to use a book for storage?
Mm-hmm.
You defaced a book?
I did, and it did not work.
You gotta have a really good knife.
Right, and I think you also probably have to like singe the inside pages and things to make it like stiffen. I don't know like how to like keep them together, but
why did they need to stay together?
For it to make like an actual cubby for the thing inside.
Yeah, but if you only open the top, then shouldn't it just be a cubby?
But those pages have to stay together because if you like open it, then the pages would like fly, and it's not structurally.
You gotta have a really thick paper.
That's right. Emily and Hanna think they see Spencer. We know, like looking at her, it's like that's obviously not Spencer, even though Spencer's supposed to be wearing a wig. And drop the coffee bean bag and leave. Aria reads the papers that she found in the book as Fitz pulls up. He gets a text for a security alert, and Aria runs and hides, taking the pages. He notices Aria's keys on the front counter, and that the cookbook has been moved and the window is open. After the commercial, Aria runs back to her car to find her keys gone, so instead, she takes off into the woods and sprints for a sign that goes to the William Tell Lodge. Good one. Fitz shouts for Aria and asks why she's hiding from him. He looks through the woods as she runs. She hides behind a tree as he calls her, and her phone goes off. He goes to move to her location, but she stays silent behind a tree, and he doesn't see her. He hears a twig snap somewhere else and moves to follow it, and she sees a sign for a ski lift and runs after it. Emily and Hanna watch the girl, wondering why Spencer isn't doing anything. And then the girl leans down. Spencer comes up behind them and says, sorry, I'm late, and like putting on her wig. But then they see the other girl run. Aria gets onto the ski lift and pulls down the bar to find Fitz sitting next to her as the lift takes off.
Yeah, it's a good jump scare.
It is very good. The other three friends run after the girl to find she escaped via the now locked exit. The lights flicker in the room and hear the announcer system cycle through information on a loop. Emily sees the bag and goes to grab it, and as she goes, the janitor grabs her arm and says it's closed to the general public. You have to leave. As they leave, Emily sees a blonde wig on the ground. Aria screams on the ski lift when suddenly it stops. She yells at him that he knew Allie. He says, "Yes, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you. I met Allie in college. She lied about her age, and I believed her." Aria yells and says that nothing you say will change anything. You wanted her dead. You thought you got her pregnant. It's like, I was writing a true crime book about her when I saw the papers that she went missing. She asks if he knew who she was, and he says, yes, I knew who. Aria asks if he knew who she was, Aria. Says, yes, I knew all of you. That's why I planned to teach at Rosewood. I wanted to be the reporter who did anything for the story, but I didn't mean to fall in love with you. Never lied to you about how I felt about you. I stopped the book when we were together, and I picked it back up when we broke up.
Cunty ass behavior.
And it's actively working on it now. Aria says, after standing up for you to my friends and family, and Fitz is I'll destroy the book. And Aria's no, I want to read it all to know what you destroyed everything we had for. Fitz tries to grab it from her, but she drops it and the pages go everywhere over the forest floor. Mona and Mike come home from a date. He goes to get her a drink as Aria comes home, and Mona's like, Aria, are you okay? And Aria just looks like, what the fuck? Just walks by and goes to her room.
Which is valid.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to come home from that and find Mona in your house.
Exactly. I can't process you. Spencer comes home and finds Toby in her kitchen. He's like, I'm here because your mom was worried about you. I wish you could have told me what's really going on. Veronica calls from the other room and says, I'll give you time to talk. He drops a gift for her on the counter. And he says, I'll give you time to talk, and drops a gift for her on the counter. Spencer tries to plead with him, but Veronica says, thank you for coming over, Toby, and he leaves. She then addresses Spencer and says, you promised you wouldn't go back to this again. I know because the doctor's office called, and I can't go through this with you again. My father and I can't cover for you anymore with Radley on your record.
My father and I?
Your father and I. Yeah, her grandpa. It's very involved. Spencer opens the gift and sees a necklace with a Scrabble letter S on the end of the chain.
It's so fucking cute.
Yeah, it's really sad. Aria lies in her bed sad, and she notices the book Fitz gave her and throws it at the wall. This is then cut to gloved hand picking up the papers to Fitz's book. The end.
One, we love Ezra just dropping that Spencer has an amphetamine addiction.
Uh-huh.
She's on drugs, Aria.
Mm-hmm. Your friend is out of control. You need to go to her parents because it's much worse when teachers get involved. Just generating drama. Just absolutely trying to make their lives worse. And I love the defense later where he's just like, well, I stopped it when and I picked it back up when we broke up. And it's I'm still actively undermining you to this very moment.
Uh-huh.
And playing your friends here. Which, I mean, there's as a teacher, if it was just a regular teacher, you would probably want to say something.
Mm-hmm. I also loved Hannah's "Are you a speed freak?" Just, we love Hanna.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cannot be gentle if she tried.
No, bull china shop.
Uh-huh, exactly. It's God damn it, Spencer. Just absolutely comes for her throat.
If they thought the prescription pad that had Ren's name on it she was using, why didn't they just check the name of the doctor on her prescription bottles?
For the friends?
Yeah.
Oh, that was all the proof they needed. They didn't need to look at the prescription bottles because they're like, it's there. And one, she's lying to us about this. She never told us about this previous troubles with addiction. And so we don't, they immediately turn on Spencer. Which is both these episodes are very uncomfortable with the way characters treat other characters. And I think both this is in a realistic way, right? They don't know how to treat someone with an addiction, so then they automatically go to that she's all making this up, and they don't believe anything she says. But they even they let their doubts over Fitz's the validity of Fitz being as a way to immediately doubt Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to watch, but you can track what's going on here.
I just feel I would have been okay, you say that you didn't use these pads, then who's the doctor who wrote your prescription?
Oh, see, yeah, it seemed for them they'd already made up their minds, and it's this is just the icing on the cake. It's oh, you had to connect, so this all makes sense. So, and they don't get the other information that Toby gets of that she tried to call, that she was asking Andrew, or like trying to call her old doctor, and all that stuff. But one of my sticking points, because both these episodes are good examples of that you can always go back to the past for like more information. It's like there's always more like that's left unsaid in these small moments and things, which is why you get like, I think, everything with Fitz. It's like you could neatly map that back on. And then, but I don't know what we get from Spencer having a long-standing addiction that was previously unheard of.
It plays into, well, you'll get more on it. I don't want to give anything away.
Okay, but it's
this plot line is going to keep building for a while.
Got it. Okay, yeah, because I was like, I don't see, this doesn't strengthen anything.
Because we see her like going at Mrs. De Laurentiis being like, did I hurt Allie?
Right. Yeah.
That stuff plays into it. And like the night Allie disappeared and her not knowing exactly what happened and her wanting to solve what happened, but she doesn't have clear memories of what happened.
Yeah. I think maybe just because I don't think that any of these these like main four really like really had any like negative actions or things played out. When we start like casting doubt toward them, it's kind of like, eh.
No, but then we will get like they'll tie this all up with a bow at the end of the season, I think.
Got it. Yeah, I had to click out of an article that was with an interview with Marlene King, like ahead of the finale. Because I was like, ooh, I don't know if they're going to get into more spoilers for the next couple episodes.
Yeah, they will. Because there's a lot. There's a lot that happens, and then it builds and builds, and then you get kind of like a info dump episode.
Yeah, that was exactly what they were referring to. It's like, there's going to be a lot of reveals. I'm like, okay, they might be talking about the next couple episodes that we haven't watched yet.
Yeah, no, you don't want to read anything about it right now.
Yeah, I'm just skeptical of like this
I don't...
New addiction, or no, sorry, old addiction for Spencer.
I think the peak to me of this plot line is her when she's like, it's Ezra, and they're all like, no, it's not.
Right.
Like, we knew you're the problem.
Yeah.
And then the reveal that she's right. I think that is like really neat. Like, I like the way it's done.
Yeah.
Like, it's clean in storytelling, not like neat as in like, how cool, neat.
Right. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like it's neatly, like it was a very tidy plot line.
Yeah.
Which is very uncharacteristic for this show.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't mind that Spencer is, I don't mind that as a plot point to have Spencer going through addiction, but I don't know what we get from. I'm not quite bought in as in like, oh, and this is a recurring problem before that we haven't heard about.
Because it was just a short window of time, and it just happened to be the window of time where
Allison went missing.
Yeah. Okay. Then we also get Mona. I can't help you anymore to Fitz. What is she doing for him?
I assume the corner I turned on Fitz this week is that I think they say it next episode, is that he knew about all that stuff is going on and knows probably more than they know, because Jesus Christ, he's got like the Bat Cave.
Yeah, who has better tech, Ezra or A?
Exactly. But that he's probably has Mona helping him with information on the whereabouts, like the lives of the friends. And I think specifically on keeping an eye on like Aria through Mike for the book, I should say. That I was like, wait, not A. So the corner I turned on Fitz this week with everything that all the reveals and things is that he may know more about A and what's going on, but this is all fodder for his book. So I think that's what Mona is doing. And so she got close to Mike for maybe her own purposes also, to keep an eye on these people, because always keep an eye on the friends, but is also helping. The thing she's helping out with Fitz is the book, information on them.
Aria finds the lair and it's empty, but then she finds a manuscript, yada yada.
Yeah.
Then we get one of my favorite scenes, which is Aria screaming on the chairlift, because it's just like, she showed up for work that day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She did her job. You knew that like Aria was like, oh my, the ground had completely slipped from underneath her, literally, metaphorically, and physically, because she was stuck in that chairlift. And then like just the whole scene, I think it pays off really well.
Yeah, so
and how angry she is pays off, and then that she goes very cold and distant. Like I'm like, this makes sense for this character. They did a really good job with like how she would react.
Absolutely, and I think it seems like Aria gets a negative rap from a lot of people out of all the protagonists.
I don't know why I love Aria.
So yeah, I don't know about it like on a specific character level, but I could see that it's like
her plot is kind of like they're
exactly.
like it's Ezra, it's forbidden love.
It's always about someone else, right? So that's why I think like with these couple episodes, like, all right, here you go. Here's like your Aria content that you want, like pissed off Aria, and hurt Aria. So I think like you get the beginnings of maybe hopefully some like personal growth and reflections where that the other characters have been other protagonists have been afforded that like Aria maybe hasn't quite as much, because it's usually over will you stay with Fitz or will you
date the new boy,
exactly, or will you will you commit to this relationship and tell people about it, will you all that stuff, will you be with him with Malcolm and
what would you have done the moment you found the book? Because I would have grabbed it, gotten in my car, left, and then gone home and read.
Yeah, don't read it at the cabin. What are you doing?
Yeah,
that's a big time trap.
Yeah,
so that's his cabin, and like, he's got all. I guess she doesn't surmise that he's been keeping an eye on him and stuff, but like, you don't know how dangerous he is in that situation. So like, get out. But for the actual scene itself, I think it is a great example of Pretty Little Liars, where it's this very intense scene, and then you look at this chairlift that is being green screened on a set like they're driving a car in a movie in the 50s. It's so funny. It's like,
so
what am I? It's yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, this is serious, but like, don't take the show too seriously.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's like how I talk about Vampire Diaries. It's good trash. Like, it's where you're like, this is fun. There's an emotional arc. I'm having a really good time, but it's not real.
Right. It's so goofy. It's some like goofy levity to like some truly like
horrifying shit. Well, I mean, think about like the concept of A in general. Like, A hacks the amphibian room while they're all in it, and yet like, like it's still like this, like, who is A? Like, you're more curious about who it is than like, where are they laundering money? Like, how are they doing this? How are they buying off zoos?
Right, exactly. Get hacking into the system there. It's so funny just seeing them, and like, I mean, Lucy Hale going through it in this performance. Just having to deliver, like I said, truly devastating news on this like rinky-dinky like chairlift set. So good.
Is Ezra's story about Allie true? That he met her and they...
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, perfect. Like, so I'm on the right track here. When it like matched my story, like my theories like perfectly, I'm like, oh, okay, perfect, cool. I do think that's exactly how it went, and I'm taking Fitz mostly at his word here. Although there are some like, I do think it'll be true that he's only writing a book. However, the tech and the monitoring that went into this like operation is so intense. And then you also going back, I like I said, I do think it'll like pan out that this is the story, but like, it's like, okay, but what was he doing on the train?
Well, he kept always trying to get her to tell him about A,
right? Which
makes sense now because he knew. He always knew.
And he's like, okay, what does she know? Like, what else do you know? And like all these. Another thing that Mona could have been doing was taking the pictures. So that's another thing there. But just his like entire operation of writing this book is something. And also like these giant photos of Allison and stuff like that. It's just like, why did you need this for your book? Like, it's truly upsetting. It's just like, what? I mean, every time you see the A layers like filled with Allie photos, it's just like extremely gross. But it's just like this is fodder for like your true crime novel. It's
Are
something.
you the killer, Ezra?
Right, exactly. The and the other thing too about the reveal on his book, the show's been playing around with like what authors he identifies with most as, but they never mention Truman Capote. Like he's writing it, he thinks he's writing his own In Cold Blood, but he's Jesus, becoming a sex offender. So it's interesting. It brings up all those grimy details. The show's way ahead of the curve of hating true crime people because it's 2013. Not even before that, or sorry, 2014. This is before the heyday of true crime podcasts really start taking off.
Why did Spencer lie to Toby? Why not just tell him about A?
I've never understood this.
Me neither.
You should just be
tell Toby. Toby's the most trustworthy person in the group,
especially because
he joined the A team to protect you.
We do this every season. It's so annoying.
And Caleb always gets clued in. I mean, right now he's gone, but like we always end up having to, or Caleb figures it out.
Exactly. If Caleb figures it out, it's like just I hate the Spoby.
Their drama's really boring.
Roller coaster. Yeah, exactly. Because it's the same thing.
Who picked up Ezra's manuscript at the end?
I guess like an A team member, unless like Mona was like, no, Mona wasn't following after him. Because why would I was like, well, it could be Fitz, but it's like, why would he do that? Because he would have copies on his computer, over his computers.
But he didn't have the newest one.
Right, exactly. I just imagine he's got like a server farm that he's rented like somewhere, and he's just like, yep, there's like 20 billion copies on these, constantly running. And actually, he's minting crypto there now.
Ezra would be minting crypto.
Absolutely. Derogatory. And so it's got to be like some of the 18 people are like, hey, we got it. We could use this for later. He's kind of got like a play-by-play written out here for us.
Yeah, and his theories.
Yeah. How much does he know about us?
What did the Hastings cover for Spencer when she was in her first drug addiction?
Oh.
They say in that like scene that like, we can't cover for you anymore. We covered for you last time.
I thought that was for Radley. I guess I misunderstood. If it is for
maybe I misread the scene.
At least in the next episodes, it's like what did Jessica see?
What did Jessica see?
So that one's interesting. Or yeah, exactly. What does Peter know about too?
Little Pete. He's not Little Pete.
That's what we call him around here. Old Little Pete.
I was also thinking Petey. Isn't that the mayor of Toontown, Petey?
Mayor of Toontown is Pete?
Isn't Pete the mayor of Toontown?
Oh, he's really taking a turn. Pete was always the villain.
I know, but I think he's the mayor of Toontown.
Oh.
I don't know that for sure.
I mean, we should probably like check it out.
I'm going to double check this really quick. Who the fuck is Flippy?
Flippy? I've never seen this dog before in my life.
Oh, this is Toontown rewritten.
Oh. It looks odd. It's like, because it's like it looks like the old like CG. But, interesting.
It's obviously not the most important thing we've ever identified. But,
right.
Mayor of Toontown. You can cut out some of the dead time,
maybe we could check out this on a break. But was there any other questions?
That was my last question.
Trying to think if there's anything else other than about Fitz's stuff. No, I think that'll be it. Okay. Do you want definitive news on Toontown?
Yes. So Pete is not the mayor, but he is the nice version of Pete in Toontown.
Right.
So he's walking around all the time.
And you said he was not a villain.
No, he's like in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. He's like a troublemaker, a hooligan, if you will. I don't really know the origins of the word hooligan, actually.
I don't either. But yeah. Sorry, Pete. Called you a villain.
Yeah, you called him a villain, and he has been a villain, but he's turned a corner. But also, like, usually in what I read, villains are hot, and I wouldn't exactly consider Pete to be like the character that rocks my socks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, teach their own.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're a Pete lover, this is no tea, no shade. You know, different.
And also that, I mean, rehabilitation is possible. All right. So episode 92, season 4, episode 21. She's come undone. She's come undone again. The friends talk to a lot of these are like Joy Division lyrics. So.
Oh. Good to know.
Oh wait, no, that's not. She's come undone. Jesus Christ, that's she's lost control. Yeah. But Shadowplay is a Joy Division song. So there you go. The friends talk to Aria about Fitz. Aria says he didn't try to kill Allie, and he's trying to figure out who did it, and thinks that one of us did it. Emily says this doesn't mean that he isn't A, but Aria doesn't think so, just that he used them all. Spencer says all that stuff in Ravenswood, was that just research for a book? Which I go, yeah. That's weird. Isn't that a lot of stuff? Aria says he's been hoping we would lead him to Allison. Emily says, why would he just sit there and watch everything that happened to us and not help you? And Aria says, well, he never really loved me. Aria sits in bed and has a flashback to meeting Fitz in the pilot episode. Back in the present, she gets up and throws up. Us too. Spencer walks down to see both of her parents in the kitchen. She sees bags packed, and Peter says, doctor thinks you should get help before it gets worse, and there's a rehab in Philly. Spencer's like, I don't want to go. And her parents wonder how she got the pills, and Spencer says, different people at school, like, it's not that hard. To which they both go like, Jesus Christ. They eventually agree to give Spencer one more chance. Hanna sees Travis at school and compliments his suit. And she's like, sorry, I shouldn't have kissed you that day. Like, I just wasn't in a place to be with someone. Travis like, it's okay. I have to go to court because Wilden was blackmailing my dad for good reason. And now we have to go on trial for the payments he was receiving from Wilden. Hanna apologizes for him sticking up for Ashley. Like, this is what got him in this mess. And he's like, I made the right choice. It's okay. Emily goes to talk to Spencer, who's looking rough. Emily got a call from Shauna in Georgia, who says she has to drop off Allison's money in Wallingford. Aria walks by super fast to go confront Fitz, while the friends try and chase after her and stop her. She enters the classroom and finds the subs there, and the sub is like, oh, he took time off for family emergency. And Aria's just like, where is he? Aria storms out saying he's a liar and a coward, and Emily offers to take her home. Spencer goes to visit Toby and immediately dates the show by having a conversation about cronuts. He invites her in and she apologizes for ruining last night. Toby says, how can I help you if I don't know you're in trouble? She says, I have it all under control, and he has her promise to call him if she gets the urge to take pills again. She's like, I will. Emily walks around school and Paige stops her. Emily tells her her schedule and taking care of Aria and all that, who has a family emergency. Paige says, I heard she flipped out in Fitz's today, and they agree to meet later. Paige sees the giant wad of cash in Emily's purse, and Emily's like, oh, it's just my grandma. She needs cash.
No, she sent cash. She doesn't, for my birthday. She doesn't believe in banks.
Spent me these gold bars. She's a prepper. I didn't tell you that. Aria goes to Fitz's apartment and yells for him to open up. She unlocks his apartment door, but no one's home. She sees a business card with someone's name printed on it. She finds a rolled up Allison timeline in his drawers. Much better than mine. She also finds boxes full of info on everyone. She, file cabinets and boxes. She grabs her file and pictures of her. She continues to dig through the files and finds an old reel-to-reel tape, which is the tape that was from Mrs. Grunwald, and plays it. It's Allie saying she's safe for now, but doesn't know who she can trust. Hanna goes to visit Officer Holbrook. Travis's dad gave money to Wilden. Oh, yeah, already get business from him. Hanna tries to get him to go easy since Wilden was a corrupt cop, and Holbrook's like, it's not my opinion that counts, just the facts. Aria continues to dig and finds a notebook and finds a page on Aria telling him about Byron's affair and that Allison knew about it. Also, there's another page on them blinding Jenna and who would have a motive for revenge. More pages and suspects, and then that Aria... And then there's a big thing that says Aria doesn't suspect a thing. He then goes about destroying his apartment and breaks his diploma over his typewriter. That was just a personal one I found great. Mm-hmm. She breaks a lot of other things.
It looks like a really nice time.
Mm-hmm. It looked, we talked about the plate throwing feeling therapeutic. I bet this one was even more therapeutic. At school, Spencer opens her locker to find a pill bottle with a note from A that says, don't say I didn't give you anything. Emily comes over and offers to throw them away, and Spencer's like, you know what? I better do it, which is not the best thing in this scenario. They agree to do the Operation Money Drop later. Hanna finds them, saying she can't find Aria, but Spencer's like, I know where to look. They go to Fitz's and find Aria in the wreckage. They comfort her, and Hanna says it's okay, I would have burned the whole place down. Spencer says there's some stuff from his apartment in Ravenswood. Shouldn't we take some things with us? And then they're like, no, Spencer. And like, go get Aria's bag and bring it downstairs. Why would they not bring anything? Spencer's right.
Yeah, that was like one of the things I wrote down. Like, why wouldn't they grab anything?
Spencer finds a photo of Allison the night she went missing with a sticky note that says it's from Mona. Spencer grabs a bunch of things and leaves. Emily is at the post office dropping the money as someone watches her. Travis leaves the courtroom to find Hanna there. He says, you didn't have to come all the way here, but she's like, I wanted to see, like, she's like, I wanted to. They see Holbrook and he nods and smiles at them. And Travis is like, they let my dad off easy because Holbrook stood up for him and brought up Wilden's past. Like, he's still going to get in trouble, but it's not as bad as it could have been. Travis then gets texted. He's like, I got to go meet my dad to celebrate, but like, let's go, like, hang out later, Hanna. And she agrees. Spencer digs through the photos and finds a business card for Mark Pope PI with a note written on the back that says PI that followed Spencer. Spencer calls but gets the voicemail, which is pretty good, that says, like, we'll find you. She starts to feel bad and have withdrawals and lays down. She reaches into her purse for the Adderall and takes one. Emily waits in line at the post office as Paige comes in to confront her. Emily says, I can't tell you like about what I'm doing. Paige is indignant. Emily and Paige step outside and Emily says, I'm just going through something. Paige says, you need to tell me what's going on now, and grabs the money from Emily, makes her tell her. Paige is going to walk away, but Emily's like, okay, it's for Allison and she's alive. Aria rips up Fitz's notebook and burns the pages. Hanna asks if she's feeling better. She's like, I'm worse and I feel stupid. Hanna says he fooled all of us and he wasn't just getting information from you. They wonder if Fitz found out Allison was alive from the Grunwald tape he had, and like, how did he get that tape to begin with? Hanna goes to pick up food. Paige and Emily talk about Allison. Paige says Allison used you. Emily's like, no, she regrets everything, like how she treated us. And Paige is like, she's definitely still manipulative and you need to tell her family or I will. Emily says, you can't expose her to A, and if anything happens to her, I'd never forgive myself or you. Paige says, I won't say anything, but like, you have to cut off communication with Allison. Hanna runs into Holbrook as she's picking up food, and he admires how much she cares for her friends. She's like, thank you for sticking up for Travis's dad, and then they hug, and she tries to kiss him, and he's like, whoa, what the hell? Spencer sorts through the Fitz info, and we find that Cece told him that she went back to the DeLaurentis' house the night that Allison went missing and saw a fight. In the flashback, Spencer stops Allison from leaving because this is after they had the confrontation in Spencer's house. And as Allison is leaving, Spencer's like, yeah, this argument is not over, yelling at her, and then grabs a shovel because Allison is just like, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to stop me? Like, really? And then she picks up the shovel, and Allison's like, put that down before you hurt yourself. Back in the present, Cece didn't tell anyone because Mrs. DeLaurentis paid her not to. Spencer goes to talk to her dad about the night Allison went missing, looking like very strung out, and she was on. And we find that she was on pills that night. She shows Peter the PI card and asks if he actually hired the PI to follow her instead of Melissa. Says, I think we need to call the doctor. You're having a hard time. Spencer's like, don't do that. Don't make me feel crazier than I already do. Toby then knocks at the front door, and Peter lets him in. Peter says, I think she needs to get some fresh air. Like, why don't you go walk her out like for a little while, Toby? And he's like, maybe we should do that. As Spencer then bolts out of the house. Emily tells Paige she'll stay away from Allison, but she needs to drop off the envelope first, and then she'll be done. Paige says she's doing this for her because she loves her. Aria continues to read the notebook and finds a folded piece of paper inside. It's a reply email from Random House. They've been enjoying his pages and want to talk about the ending. Aria calls the literary agent. She says, we just found out about his book and want to throw him a party. And the receptionist says, oh, well, he's here now. Toby comes over to Peter and says, like, I can't find Spencer. She completely bolted from the brew. We see Spencer is over at the DeLaurentis' house and asks if Jessica and Peter think she hurt Allison. Jessica's like, I need to go call your parents. Like, and Spencer grabs her arm. Jessica's like, you need to like let go of my arm and leave right now. Hanna drives up and sees Aria in her car, and she tells Hanna that he's in, like, I can't believe it. He's in New York talking about the book release. And then, finds Aria like in a neighborhood like downtown, and is like getting out of her car. Aria's going into the principal's house right now to tell him about Fitz. Hannah's like, if you say like anything, he goes to jail. This will also affect you. Are you sure you want to do this? And then after commercial, the principal opens up his front door to find no one there. And Hanna and Aria are walking away, and Hannah's like, you did the right thing. And Aria's pissed off and says she wants to be left alone and drives off. Paige visits Emily to go get food, but Emily says she's not hungry. Paige says, I guess I'll just see you tomorrow then. And Emily's like, sure. And Paige is like, are we okay? And Emily's like, I don't like being given ultimatums. Good night. Spencer comes home to Toby and her parents. Toby says she needs help, but instead she heads straight upstairs. Emily goes to visit Aria and sees her packing. Aria doesn't know where she's going to go, but she just needs to get out of here, just needs to drive, just until she figures things out. Emily tries to stop her, but Aria says, get out of my way. Paige walks around downtown. She has a note that says, I know for a fact Allison De Laurentiis is alive. Start looking for her, with the ad that was used as the address for Emily to send the envelope of cash to attached, or it was listed there, and she leaves the note in a cop car. You then see a stack of Fitz's pages sit on a side table with a cup of tea in front of a small fireplace. A hooded figure starts to read, then stokes the fire. The end.
Okay. Why does Ezra think that one of the girls is the killer? Just because it makes a good narrative?
I think that there's, I think from the outside looking in, and if I'm not watching a TV show, that girl put the rest of them through hell.
That's true.
If there's a motive.
That's true.
And also, if he knows more potentially about whatever happened with Spencer, I'm assuming that's where it's like leading from like the outside looking in. It's like that she could have done something. And that's a motive for getting back at her. So, but, I think when his first hunch is to come and like investigate Rosewood and hear about all her friends and stuff, from then probably the way she talked about all of them, she's like, oh, she probably had like it in for one of these people had it in for her.
Uh-huh.
Not that it wasn't the whole town, but at least these friends.
Will Ezra go through with the book?
I'm really worried that he's gonna come back and be like, Aria, I got rid of it. I told him, I said, random house up yours. Like, I love you too much. And I'm really worried that's what's going to happen. And I don't want that to happen, because then we're going to get a redemption arc. And for specifics, I'm trying not to.
I don't really know if we ever get a redemption arc for him, or if we just give a lot of time and space. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's never
I'm sure he apologizes because he's around.
Right. It sucks. At least in these episodes, who knows?
Why does Emily tell Paige about Allie? Like, why? Lie better, Emily. Pretty little liars.
Yeah, because it's just like Emily when she went to Spencer and it's like, I'm going to go visit Allison. You need to let me do this. Like, Emily is still fine tuning the, like, I have boundaries, but like, I don't want to lie to people. And I'm going to do the things I want to do. And you have to be okay with that. Or we're going to, like, we need to have an open discussion about like why this is a problem for you.
Why tell Paige when someone could have just told Toby?
Yes, absolutely. But so I get why she's like, I want to be, because Paige forces her hand.
Yes. Also, why would Paige be like, cut her off?
Because Paige needs to get out of this situation. Like, Paige, you need to have the self-respect to walk away from this relationship. Like, I understand. This is especially, this is a girl that you pine for a long time. Then, she turned out that she liked you and was also lesbian. So like, and it's your first relationship being out. She like, you credit her way too much because she was that person that you saw as a model to then go on your own journey where you could be your own true self. There's so much tied in that. But also, this girl is treating you like crap and doesn't love you nearly as much as you love her, and is still hung up on her ex, which is not really her ex, but for all intents and purposes. So, and she's never going to love you the way she loves her ex. Maybe she will in time, but she doesn't right now. So Paige, you need to get out of this, because right now what it's making you do is be confrontational and angry. And when you don't have to, you shouldn't try and force Emily to do things. And I understand why you are backed into this corner and you feel like you do need to force her to do something. But if you can't force people to do something, so you have to walk away. I get it. But for your health.
Do you know what the Emily and Allison ship is called? Emerson. That's gonna come into hand, as you have this conversation. Yeah.
In the future. Yeah. Poor Paige. I don't. And it just makes they don't give you a lot of reasons to root for Paige.
They really don't give you any reason to root for Paige, and that makes me so sad.
It really does.
They give you no reason to root for Paige ever. You have more reasons to root for Travis than Paige, and we've known him for like 10 seconds.
And she doesn't even go to they have an argument, so Paige then doubles down and goes to the cops instead of going to Mrs. De Laurentiis like she was saying that Emily needs to go do. She could have put the note on Mrs. De Laurentiis' door. Mm-hmm. But instead, she goes directly to the police. Mm-hmm. Oh, bad news. They're bad news. So, Emily is made all kinds of strides over here, but like still needs to figure stuff out. And or Paige definitely needs to too.
Hanna will kiss anyone who stands still.
Yeah. I was looking at Reddit reaction to this episode, and someone was just like, "Get Hanna drinks. She's too damn thirsty." This is how Hanna is coping in post relationship from Caleb. It's just like, cute man.
It doesn't have to be cute. Is he standing still?
Right,
Did he do a nice thing for me? Kiss.
That's right.
That's not what you're supposed to do?
I have positive feelings toward you, so I will kiss you on the mouth. You showed me kindness? Are you a friend? Oh, fuck her up.
What happened?
But she's still straight, so it's all the men. But if there was even the slightest hint of gay, she'd be like, "Oh, thank you, Emily."
Emily'd be
like, "What the fuck?"
What happened with Spencer and Allie the night Allie disappeared? Why was Spencer threatening Allie?
Oh, I think that is like the end of her rope of their argument from in the inside of Allison being like, I'm going to tell her about this. And she's like, you can't tell her about like her boyfriend being creepy with me, but I don't understand that yet.
Because I'm a child.
Exactly. It is. I think it's just a continuation of that argument. And it looks like Spencer attacked her with the shovel.
What did Mrs. De Laurentiis see?
I think she saw Spencer swing a shovel. And it looked like that it hit Allison. But then, so it looked like Spencer is very guilty.
Then why would Mrs. De Laurentiis not be like, Spencer, I can't ever be near you, if she watched Spencer kill her child?
But she knows that Spencer didn't kill her child.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's when the cover up and stuff happens.
So you think Mrs. D is in on the cover up?
Yes.
Okay.
Because she paid Cece to not say anything.
You're right. Gosh.
Yeah. So I think
there's so many plot lines.
Right. I think that could have come up after Peter's PI that goes into Spencer that looks her up and then like is like, oh, she didn't actually. So then like she probably went to Peter and was like, I think your daughter might have hurt my daughter. And then Peter's like, well, give me time. Mm-hmm. Because they have their weird relationship.
Mm-hmm. Will Emily stay away from Allie?
Hell no. And I don't, probably for maybe Emily's health, she should probably stay away from this. But in terms of like Emily doing things that she wants to do, like, that's why I'm saying that like Paige needs to have the self-respect to get out of here, or Emily just needs to end things. Either way. But I don't think Emily's just like, I want to do this and you're not going to stop me, because like I'm now at the point where I'm putting my foot down on things and I'm not going to be a doormat. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So like, get with it or get out.
Where does Aria go?
I'm very curious where Aria's going to go.
I don't remember.
She's just going to be...
I don't remember at all. Like, I have no memories.
Goes to South Carolina, I guess. Goes to... I could see, like, us bringing that back around. Where did Allison go again? You remember... You know what I'm talking about? With the boat and shit like that?
Yeah. Cape May?
Yeah, Cape May. There you go. Maybe that's where Aria goes, and then like ends up on some mystery tie-in stuff there. I could see her doing something that's like related, and it's like a vacation spot, but ends up being related.
Will Aria ever report Fitz?
No. So I had a bad reaction to that scene on the night that we watched it. And thinking on it about it like day afterwards, like, okay, like I could come around to like where you're going. It's just like of like being like, yeah, this is bad, but like also like, you know, we don't believe women and stuff like that.
Yeah, because what Hanna says is not, oh, I don't believe you, or oh, you shouldn't report him. It's, do you want to add this next level of drama to your already very full life?
Right.
Like, are you prepared for that? Do you like go think about it? Don't make this choice. She doesn't say don't report him. She says don't make this choice right now. She says you can like she doesn't completely say like don't do it. She says like think about it.
She does say you made the right decision at the end
to not do it right then. Because and that's how I read the scene, because it's you never want to do, I mean, like if it gets you to do something, do it angry. Like, and I think we should believe women and we should report things.
Yeah, right.
But at this time, like if I was what, like in college, I watched a lot of people report things that went nowhere, and it just caused more drama for them and did nothing for them. I work in HR. People don't tell HR people things because sometimes you can't do anything. And then it's just more drama for them and it doesn't resolve the issue. It's not right. It's not good.
Or they've been at other places where the HR person like actively,
or the person
them or didn't believe
when
them.
You start investigating, someone figures out, who have I harassed? Oh, that's probably the person who reported me.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes like this really gross thing. And I always encourage people to report things, and you want to protect people as much as you can. But I understand in this scenario, in that affluent community, in this small town with so much drama, of Hanna being like, yes, do you want to do this right now? Is this going to give you what you want?
Right.
Or are you just doing this because you need to do something and you feel so upset? Which is also valid. If she had done it, I don't think Hanna would have shamed her.
Right.
But I think that was like a safety net. I think that was showing Hanna trying to be the rational one.
See, that's where I was like, this doesn't fit. So that was like my one gripe after like thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if Hanna should have been the one to say this, because I don't feel like that's Hannah's character. Hannah's always been the one that it's like, we need to like make moves, do actions, report things. So it's like, I don't know if Hanna would be the one to give that speech in this scene. Like, I would think that'd be more Emily.
I think where Emily is now, she would have said burn it. Like Emily would have said report him.
But Hanna was the one also is like, I would have burned this entire house down.
Yeah, and I think she would have done that, but I don't think she would have taken it to authorities.
But she was also the one that took action, that was gonna take action for Ashley.
Yeah,
like, she's the one that's like always like, okay, we need to like get this wrapped up.
But that's her mother. I think it's also just different. But I mean, I'm sure there's an argument for like it would have been better to have been Spencer or whoever.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it does fit.
Yeah. It's just it's an uncomfortable scene because
because you want to report the abuser. You want that person. You want there to be justice.
Right. Exactly.
No, I agree, but I see the scene. Like it makes sense in the plot.
Yep. Yeah. After sitting with it. It's like, yeah, okay. Like, makes sense. Just sucks.
Justice is not often served in this show.
Right. And part of the reservation too is like, okay, here's what is happening in this scene. What is going to happen in the future with this character and this relationship? But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. At least in the scene, I think that works in microcosm. It might not work in the context of the rest of the show. But because if we don't get any more dialogue on exactly like what we're talking about here, then that'd be a big missed opportunity. And they're like floating things in here that they don't know how to grapple with.
There's more about this and about what Aria considered doing versus what she does do versus what happens and what the fallout is, and then like how that's used against people or for people. There's still more to this.
Yeah.
This is a evergreen pot for them now.
Got it. Yeah. Because it's a it's a tough, cynical view. Now it was like part of like what I was mentioning. I was just like, yeah, there's like there real uncomfortable moments in this, and that sits alongside with nobody believing Spencer, and how they treat Spencer's like drug addiction too.
I think it makes it a little more real, like the emotional stakes. I mean, like the whole thing is like obviously fiction, but I think like growing up as a woman at that time, like I would have been really hesitant. Like I still would be really hesitant. Yep. Like it's because the world is not designed to benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, sure, you want to seek justice and you want to help other people, but also, like, in her scenario, she knows, like, he was a danger to her, but is he really a danger to other people? You know, like, it's messier.
Yep, completely. And is a authority figure.
Uh-huh. But yeah.
So, yeah.
Complicated.
Yeah, it is, totally. Yeah.
Well.
Any other questions?
Nope. You ready to go to your corner?
Of course. Wait, actually.
Oh, you want to revisit
I
the timeline?
forgot. Yeah. We got a new little piece today.
Has it always had a tie-dye background?
No, here we go. That is not a tie-dye background. That is a hand reaching out of the ground.
Oh, it's her hand. I can see it on the little screen, but when I look at it on your big screen, I'm like, what the fuck is
happening? Yep. No, I added a background to this.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. All right, so let us revisit. It's so funny that I put like question marks on some of this stuff. It's like we're never getting answers on that because it's like people were like, "Did she actually go visit?" And it's like I don't know. We may get a elucidation on that one.
Yeah, when we get our info dump episode on the night Allison went missing, we'll find out how many of these we can check off the list. Maybe we'll print a copy for you. And you can
beautiful. Put it side by side. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we could actually do both. We could review this and be like, "How accurate was it?" All right. So on the day, Allison goes to visit Jenna at the clinic and threatens her. Question mark. Hey, it's Duncan. Every time I see this, I'm like, remember Duncan? Allison flies back to outside of Philly with Duncan.
Here's just a plot device.
In a nice sweater. Allison arrives back in Rosewood via taxi, and Spencer notices luggage tags for Hilton Head. Jesus, all this stuff I should have forgotten. Jenna is picked up by Garrett from the clinic. Allison gives Emily the snow globe. Spencer, Emily, and Hanna arrive at Spencer's house for the sleepover, and then Aria arrives. Allison, I highlighted the new addition to this.
I love it.
Allison arrives at the barn and scares the friends. Allison and Spencer fight inside Spencer's house about Allison telling Melissa about Ian, and Spencer chases after her and brandishes a shovel and is seen by, sorry, that should just be Cece. I realized afterwards that it's like Jessica then tells Cece not to say anything, but Cece is the one that saw it. So correction there. Toby sees Allison get in a car. My hair kind of looking like Toby's right now. Toby sees Allison get in a car with a boy, unconfirmed, but probably Ian, and leaves. Aria wakes up to see Allison missing and finds Spencer arriving back to the barn to tell her she's missing. Allison meets with Ian, and they film the I Know You Want to Kiss Me video. After that, Ian, Garrett, and Jenna search Allison's room and find a box. Ian sets up a camera, and Garrett and him fight over the box. They hear someone come upstairs, and Melissa enters, demanding where she is. Garrett and Jenna leave Ian and Melissa to talk and run into Allison in the yard. An altercation ensues, and Garrett pretends to kill Allison. Garrett then returns to Allie's backyard to see Allie and Byron talking. Allison tries to extort Byron for more money, but he doesn't take it. He goes to leave and sees Melissa outside the house talking on the phone. Jason then stumbles out of his house, like, say 6 beers deep, and sees Cece and Melissa talking in his backyard. He looks away, and when he looks back, they're gone, and then he goes for a little nap. Allison is visited by Wilden? Question mark? Allie is then buried alive, but is saved by Mrs. Grunwald, a good friend.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Now that we're all level set with the night, of course, 100% accurate, let us step into... Theory Corner. Welcome to Theory Corner, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Welcome in. Please take a seat anywhere in my comfy abode of a station. So we could probably scratch Fitz off the list of being A, even if he went above and beyond the Call of Duty of just monitoring
being
people.
A reporter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also a mandated reporter. Isn't that interesting? And reporter, report thyself.
Oh my God.
And then, okay, so we take Fitz off the board here. So we're still looking at our other featured players. We've got Melissa, we've got Jenna, Cece's still somewhere in the mix, Shauna's still somewhere in the mix, Ren, No? Question mark? Has he just gone on to greener pastures? Do we know?
Noel will come back.
I believe I saw the article that it's and we'll see returning characters like Noel.
Noel, Lucas everyone comes back basically.
Right. Yeah, they come out of the stage, do a bow. All right. So if I was gonna put our top contenders for A at this time, it'd probably be Jenna and Melissa, because we've just seen enough from either of them that or we haven't seen enough from either of them to kind of complicate things. Like Shauna getting attacked in the car and then smashing her phone and driving away makes it seem like she wouldn't be the ringleader. I don't think she's Allison's best friend and was doing everything in Allison to help out Allison, and I still think there's playing that kind of both sides thing. But so I do think she was on team A, which would then make sense if Jenna was in charge, because then there was that relationship there. But they were also both working with Melissa and seemed to have some sort of almost fear or contentious relationship with Melissa. So then we could see how, because Melissa seems to be semi-involved but also semi-detached, that she would have some sort of play. I also inaccurately said that was guesstimating when she was with Ren, but she was with Ian at that time, even though she was in college, right? And so we assume that she met Ren in the intervening year after Allison went missing and the start of the series. So Ren maybe only involved posthumously or post fake death of Allison, but post her disappearance. And is somehow, I would think he's getting, if it is Melissa, I think it could be Melissa, that she's then using him as a pawn. I think the slipping his prescription pad into Spencer's purse is not coming from him. I think that's to make him look worse and also Spencer look guilty at the same time, right?
Okay.
Because there's no guarantee that Spencer's friends would have been the one to find it and just go Spencer, really? We could handle the pills, but you're back with Ren. But so I think he's being used and moved around as a pawn and stuff. Now, if we go back to Noel too, I also have to remember that he had some sort of relationship with Jenna. So Jenna could be using him for A things, even if it seemed in control a little bit at the time of their relationship. But I could still think that she could be manipulating him in that sense.
Okay.
And then I think Cece was also used as a pawn. Cece was working with people, actually helped out Allison. A then used that information to then pin Weldon's murder on Cece. So I'm gonna go Melissa for now. Jenna number 2.
Okay.
And even though I said all that about Cece right now, I'd put probably Cece number 3 on the odds there.
I like that it's a boss babe.
Yeah, I would think that it would be just the way the show's kind of treated that gender binary is between men are bad and evil,
women are boss babes.
Or you know what, they could pull it if they pull out and that it's Melissa or Mona yet again. I will congratulate them.
There are times when I go, maybe the best move is just to do what you know.
Right, exactly. Just go back to not to the drawing board. Sorry, just what worked before.
Rinse and repeat.
Exactly. You know what? I don't like that the Mona waffling over Mike there. I don't know about that plot line, but we'll see.
I think she's just afraid to hurt him.
I know, but he's just scorched earth. But I think that's it. Yeah. Until next time. Goodbye.
All right. Final thoughts.
We've got 2 more podcast episodes for season 4.
4 more episodes?
I think just 3 more.
Oh. I don't remember the number. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because we just did 21, and I think there's 24 episodes. So I think you had said that this one ends with a bang.
I
Like
think.
literally.
I think. Yeah.
And that
Oh yes. Yeah. I get what you meant.
Someone might die.
There's a gunshot. Let's put it that way. Kaboom.
So maybe I'll.
Who's at the receiving end?
Right.
Who's at the firing end?
All right. Yeah, but we had.
I don't think you could guess this if you wanted to. Oh, and then who ends up injured? Who is okay? Who did what? Who's where and why? Where they are? The location alone, you wouldn't be able to guess.
I'm okay. I'm excited then.
They do a lot of. They go somewhere. They go on a little.
Ooh la la.
Trip.
Just like Aria.
Just like Aria.
Huh. Isn't that? Keep that in mind.
No, I'm just kidding.
Aria takes a trip for sure. 6 feet under. Lucy Hale plays her cousin. They pull full Twin Peaks. So someone had a request of like guesstimates on who might get it.
Yeah, who's gonna get it?
I'll do that next time.
Oh, you don't want to guess right now? Top of your head, who's gonna get it? Just pick someone. First name that comes to mind.
Lyndon James.
Isn't he already dead?
Well, that's far as we know. No, who's gonna get it? X gonna give it to you. You put me on the spot, and I completely drag my feet, and I'm like, I don't know. Holbrook? I can see Holbrook.
Who's shooting the gun?
The dirty bomb.
Show you Chicago once, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're coming.
Who would be shooting the gun? Emily. She accidentally kills Holbrook.
Oh my god, that's so tragic for her.
Coming after someone.
I can safely say that no. I don't think that ruins anything.
Spencer gets Caleb's gun. Goes after him.
Caleb still has the gun?
That's his old gun. He tried to ditch it.
God.
Okay, let's see, actually. You know what? Maybe Fitz gets shot, but he doesn't die. And Aria's like...
Aria shoots Fitz?
Right. No,
that would have been so much better than what happens.
I do think it's gonna be like a side character that gets shot, and we're like, oh, I don't know. So yeah, I feel like someone like a Holbrook that could get like that's like involved, but like not that involved, and probably let's say shot by maybe like Noel or something, like one of the other ones like that, who's like involved in the A business. Doesn't mean to kill a cop, but you know they shoot him.
All right, well, we'll have to find out if you're right.
Yeah, I'll have a more solid guess next week.
No, I like this one. It's way more chaotic.
Very much so. Taking names out of a hat. Peter shoots.
Just do Mad Libs.
Uh-huh.
Okay, plugs.
You can find this podcast on YouTube, the video version at dead_ends. Yes. And you can also find us in audio version on all your podcast platforms of choice. You can also find us on Co-host, where I've been posting. That is at Dead Ends. And then you can also write in emails with questions at deadendspcast@gmail.com. Yeah. So
comment, subscribe, whatever you're doing this on.
Yeah. And until next time, we're still here. We're going to find out everything.